Hi everyone, my name is Neerav Kumar. Welcome to my video Data Engineering Part 3. A little about myself. I'm a cloud architect and Microsoft certified trainer. I have worked at companies such as IBM, Tech Mahindra, and ITC Infotech. This is a continuation of Part 2. So watch Part 2 before proceeding. In last video, we have created a Azure Data Factory pipeline to copy data from Azure Blob Storage to Azure DataBricks. In this video, we will use Azure DataBricks for data transformation. And why we are learning this? As a data engineer, you have to create ETL pipeline, extract, transform, and load data to get some insight from the data to create reports or to visualize the data. The first step is we have to get the data from different sources into data lake that we have done into previous video, and this process is called ingestion. Then we have to transform the data as per our requirement, and finally we load the data into data warehouse or SQL database, and this data is used for visualization purpose. Some of the major topics we are going to discuss in this video are introduction to Azure DataBricks, and in the process we will also discuss Apache Spark, Hadoop, and distributed computing. We'll see how and why we use Azure DataBricks and different components of Azure DataBricks. Once that is done, we will use Azure DataBricks for data transformation on the port. We'll summarize all the things we have learned in this session and we'll discuss what to do next. Once you complete this video, you will be able to use Azure DataBricks for data transformation. Before beginning this video, you should have basic knowledge of Microsoft Azure and Python programming. What is Azure DataBricks? Azure DataBricks is a cloud-based data processing and analytics platform that enables data scientists, engineers, and analysts to collaborate and work together on large-scale data projects. In simple terms, Azure DataBricks is a tool that allows teams to work with big data in the cloud. And there is one important thing about Azure DataBricks. It is built on the top of Apache Spark. So to understand Azure DataBricks, we need to understand Apache Spark also. And what is Apache Spark? Apache Spark is a data processing engine that is designed to handle big data processing workloads. Apache Spark uses distributed computing framework for data processing. In-memory processing is a key feature of Apache Spark. In Spark, data is loaded into memory before processing. And here is the Spark architecture. Spark core takes care of data processing. On the top of a Spark core, we have some libraries, which has different functions. What is a library in software development? A library is a collection of pre-written code or functions that can be reused in different programs or applications. Like here, we have a Spark SQL. This library is used for processing structured data using a SQL query. The same way, we have a Spark streaming library, which is used for processing a streaming data. Then we have machine learning related library and GraphX library. It is used to build graphs in Apache Spark. And to interact with these libraries or to use its functionality, functions, or so what we have some options. We can use out of these 5 programming languages, we can use Python, Scala, Java, SQL, and R. Scala is a default language for Spark. We are going to use Python in this video. There is one more special thing about Apache Spark. It is built on the top of Hadoop. So it is better. We know something about Hadoop also. Hadoop is also a data processing engine designed for big data processing. And before Apache Spark, this was the most popular data processing engine. This also uses distributed computing framework for data processing. But Hadoop is not using in-memory processing. In Hadoop, data is processed on the disk. So for every action, data need to read or write from the disk. And that's why Hadoop is not as fast as Apache Spark. Apache Spark load the data in memory before processing, so it takes less time to process the data, and that's why Apache Spark is faster than Hadoop. And this is one of the main difference between two. Now, what is distributed computing? Distributed computing is a way of using multiple computers to work together on a task. Instead of one computer doing all the works, the task is split up into smaller parts, and each computer work on its own part. The results are then combined to get a final answer. Think of it like a group project where everyone has a specific task to complete. Each person works on their part independently, but their contributions are combined to create the final project. Distributed computing works the same way, except the group consists of multiple computers working together. There's some feature of distributed computing. The one is parallelism. Distributed computing system can execute multiple tasks simultaneously across different computers, allowing for faster processing times. Then resource sharing is one of the main feature of distributed computing. Distributed systems allow multiple users or applications to share computing resources such as processing power, storage, and memory across the network. The distributed system can be easily scaled up or down to handle changes in demand by adding or removing computing resources from the network. Then these are decentralized. Distributed systems do not have a single point of control, and instead relying on a distributed network of nodes to coordinate and execute tasks. This makes them more resilient to attacks and failure, as there is no single point of failure. So why we use DataBricks? When the Apache Spark is a data processing engine. So there are a few reasons behind it. Azure DataBricks platform provide unified analytics platform where different people like data engineer, data scientist, data analytics can work together. Then it provide workspace where you can create or manage your notebooks. Notebooks are used to write codes, like we will write Python code to interact with Spark libraries to use its functionality. And of course, it provides you web-based user interface. We can scale up and down compute resources. And there are additional tools like you can see your results in graphical manner, like in chart. And because Azure DataBricks is a Azure service, so it has better integration with different Azure services like Azure Data Lake, then with Power BI. And it also uses security feature provided by Azure Cloud. Azure DataBricks has some key components. One of them is compute. You use compute feature to create a cluster. A cluster is a set of nodes. If you know Azure Cloud, you must have created virtual machine. When you create a virtual machine, you need to select which operating system you want, what software you want to install on the machine. Then you select memory, processing power, storage. The same thing we will do here. Then you have workspace. In workspace, you can create notebooks, and in notebooks, you will write the code to extract data, to transform data, to load data. So we are going to use this for interacting with the library provided by Spark code. There's a data feature which provides integration with various data sources and job. job allow you to schedule and run batch processing jobs on the Databricks cluster. There are a few more we will see when we actually create the pipeline. So now we have some basic idea about Azure DataBricks. We'll go and create a notebook or will perform transformation of the data. So let me go to Azure portal. So here I'm on my Azure portal. This is Azure portal dashboard. First thing what we are going to do, we will create a resource group. And because we know how to create a resource group, I have already created a resource group here. In last session, we have also seen how to create Azure Data Lake. So I've created Azure Data Lake also. Inside the Azure Data Lake, we have a container, demo container. And inside the demo container, I have created two folders. One is raw data folder. Inside the raw data folder, I have uploaded some file. We will work on a student dash marks.csv file. And then I do have one more folder inside the container. This is empty. So once the file is transformed, we will write here or we will load here. So this part is ready. Now we will create one Azure DataBricks where we can do all the transformation work. Go to home, and because I don't see here a DataBricks on the dashboard, so I will search for it. DataBricks, Azure DataBricks here. Just click here, and we'll create one new Azure DataBricks. So click here, and the same resource group I will use, where I have created DataBricks for our demo purpose. So this is the cloud scale demo-rg. Give a name, cloud scale demo workspace. Basically, when you create instance of Azure DataBricks, you create a workspace, same region little bit, and I don't need the premier one. This standard will be okay for me. And then just leave other things, not required to change anything here for now. So we will just click on review, and if it is validated, we'll click on create. So there's done. Only what I did, I have written a selected resource group, given a name to the Azure DataBricks workspace. So it will take a few minutes to complete. Let me pause the video for some time. So Azure DataBricks is created now. Let us go to the resource. So this is the workspace. And just to go to the workspace dashboard, you need to click on this launch workspace button. So this is your workspace dashboard where we will do all the work we were discussing. So first thing what we will do, go to compute option and create a cluster. So click create a cluster. First click on create compute. Let me change its name. Change to cloud scale cluster, then keep database runtime version as it is. It is a image of a VM with pre-installed softwares or libraries. And then worker type, we will take the lowest, cheapest one, and the minimum we require. 14 GB memory and 4 core is good enough. Then minimum worker I will take 1, and max is 2, so that So not incurred more cost when I'm running the cluster. Driver node will be also same as a worker node, so it will be fine for us. So now I can go ahead and click on create cluster. One important thing we also need to know that even if you don't use this cluster, and why we will use this cluster to run our code in a notebook, which we are going to create. So even if you don't use this cluster, it will cost you because it is running. So, and suppose you forget for a long time, you're not using, so you will incur those costs. So to save those money, what we are going to do is just reduce this time, 30 minutes. So if you don't use this cluster for 30 minutes, it will automatically get terminated. So you will not um, incur any cost for this. Now I can go and click on edit cluster. It will take few minutes. So let me pause the video. So cluster is created now. So now we have a running cluster, and we can use this cluster in our notebook. So let us go to workspace. We can create a notebook here. Let us first create a folder. So that would be a better way to do it. And now inside the folder, we will create a notebook. Data transformation. And default language, I will take as a Python. So now this is our notebook. And if you can go and see here, we have a running cluster. You can see its configurations and everything. So this is the cluster where we will run our code to execute whatever we write over there. This is like if you want to write something in MS Word, you need a machine installed with the operating system or an MS Office. The same thing is here. If you want to run this code, you need a machine to run on. So we will follow few steps for the transformation. The first thing what we need to do, we need to set Spark configuration. And how to do that and what we can do it. Let me just, I've already noted down. So I'll just go and copy it from here so that it's not take time. So you see, if you want to set a Spark configuration, you need to write something like this. What is the Spark object, which will provide you all the methods of a Spark library. Then there we have a conference.set method where we will provide this parameter fs.azure.account.key.storage name.dfs.code.window.n. Then we have to write that storage account access key. How to get storage account access key is you go there in your storage account. Here you have one option. See, there will be access key option. You need to click it here. And by the way, if you want to learn any service properly, you see there are a lot of options available into left side if you create any service. So to understand the service better, you need to understand all the option. What is the, it's used like, what is the activity log, what is tags, what is access control used for. So if you're learning first time any service in Azure, you must go and try to find use of all the options. Then you will be able to learn it properly. Like here we are currently using access key. We can also use shared access signature. So, but here for now we are going to use access key. So access key here, if you show, this is the access key which will be used to access the Azure data link data. And before I go to the Azure DataBricks dashboard, let me show you. In this storage, we already know there are two folders, raw data and transform data folders. Transform data doesn't have anything, And inside the raw data, we have few files. We are going to work on this student-marks.csv file. What is inside this? Let me show you. You see, here we have serial number, role, name, class, chemistry, physics, and mathematics. This marks is there. So this is what you can click here and you can preview in the tabular format also. So this is what. But actually, why we came here, we wanted to see the access key, how to generate access key. And that we have come to know from here. We can show and then copy. This access key we will use to access this file, which is the file student-marks.csv stored into the container. So now we know as a first step, we have to set the configuration. And let me just show you one more thing. When you work on this notebook, you have something called magic command. So what you can do, it is used for documentation. Like step 1, set Spark configuration. Now you see, you come here, this looks, so you can, the size depend on the number of hash sign I have given. So how do we write this? You need to %MD, which is for magic commands, and then this control the size. I've given 3 hash, so it control this size of this. Let me, so this is syntax. We have to write the actual code into a new cell. So I'll just click on plus to get a new cell. Here, I will write how we can write. Just take this syntax. So I've written it, just here this. And what is name of our storage, cloud storage account? That we can take it from there. You see, cloud skill demo storage. So cloud skill demo storage. And here, what we had copied that access key, that we can paste it. So let me paste it here. So now this is done. We can execute here also, and better, I should not have any syntax mistake. So I've already noted down. Let me paste it here. So now we have written code to set the configuration. And how you can execute it, you can click here and run the cell. Click run on the cell. If you want to run only the particular cell, then we will click this one. If you want to run all the cell, then you can use this one also, run all above or run all below. There is shortcuts also. You need to press Shift and Enter to run. So now this first time we are able to run this code, which we have written on a new notebook, and where it ran where we have executed this code on the cluster, which we had created in just before. So this is the first thing we have configured. Now we can access the file of the Azure Data Lake. For that, what is syntax? Let me just show you the syntax. I'll explain also. So this is the syntax. First thing, you need to use a Spark object. This is a instance of the Spark library, which will provide you all the method available in the Spark. So that we will use the read method and want to read the data, CSV format data. So that's why we have to write this .csv, and in path, give the path of the file where it exists. You have to write like this: abfss : / then container name, then storage name, dfs.co.windows.net, and then this folder name inside the container, then file. So this way we can read the data. It will copy the data and put into a data frame. So I can change the name here also. I don't want any syntax mistakes. So I've already written it, and I will copy that. I will copy that command from here and write into a new cell. I click on the plus sign. How you get the plus sign? You need to get the cursor over here And then you have this plus. If you click, one cell be created just below it. And here you see it is also short form written, shift plus enter to run. Okay, so now I will paste this thing. What it is doing, as explained, this will read the particular file into a data frame. What is data frame? A data frame is a kind of you have table into RDBMS, or if you know the SQL. So there you have table where you can keep the data into row and column format. Same way, it is Spark user data frame. It has some inbuilt properties, features that is useful, distributed data computing. And that's why because of this feature, Spark is able to use distributed computing on this data. But for now, I will not go into detail on this. Just assume that this is kind of a table, and of course you can explore more. Right now, we are reading the data file from Azure Data Lake into data frame. Let us see if this command works. Yes, it works, and we are able to get the data into our data frame. But let me see one thing. You see what we had seen, there are some column header also. But here, what column header we have got? C1, C2, C3, those kind of things, right? So this is not correct. If you want to get the correct header of the table or CSV files, you need to just use one small parameter. Let me just show you, and I will just be here. So let me just show you. So what you need to do, you just need to add with this comma header equal to true, and then you run it. So now if you see, I have got the correct header. So to get the correct header, you need to write header equal to true. Otherwise, a data frame is created with the default column. So now we know the data is there in the data frame. How to see the data? You need to use a method, data frame one. This is data, and then so method we will use. So let me execute. So now you see. So whatever the data we had in CSV file in Azure Data Lake, that now we are able to bring it to Azure DataBricks memory, and we have put into a data frame, and we are able to see it. Amazing. So this much, it looks so easy, right? So we have finished first step. Now we are able to read the data into data from the Azure Data Lake, and we have got the data into data frame into Azure DataBricks memory. And one more thing for you to do some homework. Here I have used two methods till now, read method and show method. There are two kinds of method into a Spark: transformation method and action method. You need to find what is the difference between these two. Only thing I will just tell you, when we use action method, then actually the processing happens. When you use transformation method, that Spark only configure the code and set all the configuration, but it doesn't execute the actually what you want to do. Only when you use action method, then it does the processing work. So reading is done. Now we will go for transformation. Let me use one magic command. Step 2, transformation. So I will use 2. Step 2, transformation. What we are going to do in transformation. You see, I see this header, serial number, role, name, class doesn't look good. I want to change to gray. So what I will do, I can use one method to make this change. Let me show it. I will use something like this. There is a select expression method is there. Let me write it there. Even we have select method also. So now what I'm taking, I will take name column, role column, class as grade. You see, this is what I'm changing. In class column, I will take as a grade, and physics, chemistry, math. Here, one more thing, you see, the so you can directly use so method here. You don't have to write separately every time. You can use it here. Because first time I wanted to show you this all the steps, so that's why I did it. So now I have used so here. So is a action method, and select expression is a transformation. So now if I execute, we should be able to see the data here. First step, this step. Yeah, see, now we have name, role, grade, physics, chemistry, math, marks, all. So this is one transformation. What I will do, I will add all three physics, chemistry, and math marks and create a new column, total marks. Let me execute it. Now you see, you have a new column, total marks. So this is the second transformation we are able to do. So you can do hundreds of thousands of different kinds of work on this. This is just baby step for us. So we have completed a step 1 and a step 2. Step 1, we read the data from Azure Data Lake. And step 2, we have transformed the data. Now we will write back the data to a data lake folder. So let us use magic command once again. So this will be our step 3 and final steps here. And we will use write method. And you can click here on plus sign to get a new cell. And here, I just paste this code. What is this? Here it is same like read method. Here we have to use write method, and we are writing in CSV format. So I just need to give the path of the folder where you want to write the file and name of the file you want to give. So that's it. We'll execute it. And looks it worked. So we can see a file is created here, of course in folder format because it has many files inside. First 3 files, what you see, underscore committed and underscore started and underscore success, these are related to the different stages of the processing of data. And this is the final file, which we have written here. If there is a way to change the name of the file, by default it will comes like this because this data get processes in distributed computing framework. So this is the data we have got here in Azure Data. So finally, third steps is also worked successfully. So our demo is over now. We have used Azure DataBricks and transformed the data. Right? What we did, we have to log into Azure portal, then create a resource group, create Azure Data Lake storage, and there you can create 2 folders, row and transform. Then we have uploaded a CSV file in row directory so that that can be accessed and transformed. Then created a Azure DataBricks, create a cluster using the compute menu options, create a notebook and workspace, and following the steps we have taken. Like first we have set the configuration, then read the file from data directory, and then we have transformed the data, and finally we written this. So now we know about the Azure DataBricks and its different components. Then we have also seen how we can use the DataBricks. Next, what you can do in next video, we can see how we can call Azure DataBricks notebook from Azure Data Factory data pipeline. Although there is a way to schedule notebook execution through job. So what is next? In part 4, we will create a Azure Data Factory pipeline and call Azure DataBricks notebook from the data pipeline. And if you have cleared your exam DP 900, now you can start preparing for DP 203, which is a data engineering on Microsoft Azure exam. It will give you complete knowledge about data engineering concepts. We have talked about a little bit about Spark, Hadoop, and not much about data frame and RDD, resilient distributed data set. So please learn in more detail. And then to get more information about distributed computing framework, there are two types of cluster when you get into Azure DataBricks. One is all-purpose interactive cluster, which we have created this demo, and another one is job cluster. Try to find out what is the difference between these two. And as we were talking, there are different kinds of commands in Spark data frame, like read, transformation methods. They're like, so those are action methods. So just you need to find out what are different transformation action methods so that you can use. And if you remember, we had the first thing what we did, we said configuration of a Spark, where we had used access key. And we also discussed that is not a good way to do it, not a recommended way to do it. That was only for demo purpose. So you learn how to create service principal, and it would be better if you can use it in Azure to access Azure Data Lake from Azure Data. So thanks for watching. Happy learning.